And I really wish that we could have done more to prevent this, but we have people that don't know how to deal with emotions.
At my house yesterday on my couch.
Sure was.
And we talked, about them working the relationship out or whatever. And he left. It was nothing. It wasn't nothing alarming. I didn't feel anything.
They got married on Valentine's Day. By summer, she'd moved out, scared to sleep in the same room as him. By July 31st, she was dead, shot 7 times in the office where she worked, and he was barricaded inside with her body for nearly 3 hours while a SWAT team surrounded the building. When he finally walked out, he was covered in her blood. This is how fast a marriage can turn into a homicide, and nobody outside their circle saw it coming until it was already too late. Her name was Maleah Bess. She grew up outside Chicago, played in her high school band, and left home after graduation to build a life on her own terms. She landed in Jackson, Mississippi, finished her degree at Jackson State, and worked her way into a job managing an apartment complex. People who knew her didn't describe a woman still figuring things out. They described someone career-driven, generous, mature, well past her age. She was 24 and she'd already built something real. His name was Ron Christopher Allen. He was 52, 28 years older than her, a lifelong Jackson resident with 3 kids from before this marriage, and a DUI he was still paying off. He'd recently finished a 28-day rehab stint for a pain pill addiction that started with hip surgery. When Maleah married him, she wasn't just marrying a man. She was stepping into someone else's unfinished problems. The marriage didn't survive its own honeymoon phase. Friends said it was rocky almost immediately, and by early summer, Maleah had packed up and moved in with a friend. She told people plainly why. She didn't feel safe sleeping next to her own husband. She'd thought about filing for divorce. She hadn't done it yet. Friends said she was intimidated, not confused about what she wanted, just afraid of what it would take to get it. Leaving didn't make him back off. He started showing up at her job, uninvited, the kind of thing that looks small written down and feels like being hunted when it's happening to you. And somewhere in there, he found out she'd moved on, that she was seeing a coworker at the apartments where she worked. For a man who couldn't accept losing her, that was the detail that mattered most. The day before it happened, Ron showed up at the friend's house where Maleah was staying. He sat right there on the couch and talked about working things out. The roommate in the room said it felt like nothing, no tension, no red flags. Just a man making his case, calm as anything. Whatever he was rehearsing on that couch, it clearly wasn't an apology. The next morning, just after 11, Ron drove to the Westwood Apartments where Maleah worked. He walked into the leasing office and shot her 7 times. She was gone before anyone outside that room even knew what had happened. Police got the call as an active shooter situation. Instead of running, instead of surrendering, Ron barricaded himself inside that same office, with her body still there, and stayed for close to 3 hours while officers from multiple agencies surrounded the building and hostage negotiators worked to bring it down without anyone else getting hurt. While all of that was happening, some of Maleah's people got worried and called her phone, just to check on her. Ron answered. He confirmed to them, over the phone, that she was already dead. Think about the kind of person that takes, picking up the phone of the woman you just killed, and calmly telling the people who loved her that she's gone. When he finally walked out to surrender, he was covered in her blood. The next day, Ron stood in front of Judge June Hardwick for his first court appearance. She denied him bond, calling the crime egregious. He didn't argue with that. He brought up his old DUI on his own, laid out his hip surgery and his pill addiction like it explained something. It didn't. He went to the Hinds County Detention Center and stayed there. Unlike the other men in stories like this one, Ron didn't take himself out of the equation. He was still alive to answer for what he did. And eventually, he did. He pleaded guilty to murder. No trial, no jury. Just a plea and a sentence. Life in the custody of the Mississippi Department of Corrections. The Jackson police chief stood in front of cameras afterward and called it exactly what it was. A husband taking his wife's life and putting everyone else in that building in danger while he did it. He said something else too that stuck with people longer than the rest of it, that too many people don't know how to deal with someone wanting to move on with their life. That's the whole case, really, in one sentence. A young woman wanted an ordinary, safe life. A man decided that if he couldn't have her, he'd rather end it than watch her live it without him. Maleah's friend Manisha put it plainer than any expert could after it was already too late to help her. Even if you're not afraid, even if every part of you believes he'd never do it, if someone threatens you once, take it seriously, especially then. If you enjoy true crime content, make sure to subscribe to Love to Death channel for more in-depth cases and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Fair use. Notice: this video is for educational and commentary purposes only. Any third-party footage or images used are intended to fall under fair use as described in Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act.
The man accused of killing his estranged wife here in Jackson and then barricading himself in an apartment complex leasing office now faces a murder charge. 52-year-old Ron Christopher Allen is accused of killing 24-year-old Maleah Bess. A deadly shooting happened at the Westwood Apartments on Robinson Street. Greener Side's Quentin Smith has followed this story for you all day, and he tells us what investigators say led up to that deadly shooting.
That fatal shooting happening here at the leasing office at Westwood Apartments. In fact, you can even see the bloodstains are still on the mat at the front entrance door of the leasing office. We found out Bess worked as a property manager here at the complex. We also learned that her husband, Ron Christopher Allen, is being accused of shooting her 7 times after finding out she had a boyfriend.
And I really wish that we could have done more to prevent this, but we have people that don't know how to deal with emotions.
This is exclusive video of Allen being taken into custody not long after police say that deadly shooting happened.
He had blood on his clothing. We assumed that that came from the victim because she was definitely, there was a lot of bloodshed.
This usually quiet complex now finding itself at the center of a crime scene. Everything happening around 11:30 Thursday morning. Investigators say not long after Bess made it to the leasing office to begin her work shift, Allen showed up with a gun, shooting and killing her.
They're currently married, but my understanding is she was trying to move on. And apparently, again, somebody who do not know how to deal with emotions. And now this family has been destroyed.
After the shooting, police say Allen then went back inside the leasing office, fired more gunshots, and barricaded himself for over an hour. The police department's hostage team continued to make contact with the 52-year-old, trying to get him to come out and surrender peacefully.
Continuously called him as he continued to hang up as they called him. But he eventually told them that he was going to come out. That's exactly what he did.
We've now learned the two were married for less than 6 months. Bess, who is from Chicago, is a recent graduate of Jackson State University. Investigators say they have recovered the gun Allen used, and they're now looking to hold him accountable for his actions.
I've been doing this a long time, but it never gets easy. This lady came to work today. Never thought she'd lose her life at the hands of her husband at work today.
No other workers or residents at the complex were injured during this fatal shooting. Allen is expected to make his initial court appearance on Friday. Reporting from Westwood Apartments, I'm Quentin Smith.
New at 10, Adams County Sheriff's